Well, she was once the uncontested Democratic frontrunner, but now Hillary Clinton is in jeopardy of losing the first election contest next month if the votes mirror the polls. Sanders has now jumped ahead of Clinton in Iowa by 5 points in a new Quinnipiac survey out today. And in New Hampshire, Sanders now has a double-digit lead on Clinton in a Monmouth survey, 53-39. Her vanishing lead could be why she's moving left to secure the base. Here she is at a diversity forum yesterday, talking about how she's benefited from being white.
I'll tell you, when I first realized that I was privileged, both because I was white and because I was economically stable. When I was about 11 years old, our church asked if some of us would volunteer to babysit for the children of migrant workers on Saturdays because the families had to go into the fields. I'm watching these kids and their families. They have to work so hard, and the place they live is not very nice. I didn't call it a particular name, but it was a different life.
All right, well, let me go to you first, because there was some criticism of Hillary Clinton from the left, saying that they didn't think she answered that well, but how could she have answered that better?
I agree with you. I don't understand, and this was the same thing that happened with Black Lives Matter when they corralled her after some event, and they wanted her to say that she was, you know, she'd been privileged by white privilege and the like, and she said, you know, I can stand up here and say anything about white privilege, but I could shout it out in Yankee Stadium, but it doesn't matter unless we have specific concrete ideas. So, again, I think for the brown and black forum, which is what this was on Fusion, the idea was Hillary Clinton is able to speak to minorities, but look, I think she's very much in touch. I don't know what they want out of these people.
Is there anything that she could have said that would satisfy that question?
She could have saved a lot of time if she said an example of white privilege is Bill Cosby versus Bill Clinton.
Well, that would have been an interesting way to answer.
That would have saved a lot of time.
Just explain what you said to me.
Well, can we move on to the next one?
Both are being accused of similar crimes, but one seems to be getting away with it.
Oh, I get your point.
The white one. If you would like this explained, I can have it written down for you, and I'll mail
well,
copies.
You know, just use your stereotypes. I'm a little slower, you know what I mean?
No, like it in triplicate.
I'll have it in triplicate.
All right, Hillary's also taken a page out of Bernie Sanders' book, ramping up her talks on income inequality, vowing she will do everything she can to make the rich pay.
The super wealthy and big corporations are using every trick in the book to game the system to avoid paying billions of dollars in taxes, and that's just not right. So today I am proposing adding what I'm calling a new fair share surcharge on multimillionaires and closing loopholes to make it harder to game the system. I'm proposing every idea I can, finally, to make those at the top actually pay their fair share.
God, the word. I've been dying to ask you about this, Eric.
Fair share surcharge. Let's talk about that. First of all, fair share, we know that. That's a class warfare struggle that President Obama started and she wants to perpetuate. And it's what Bernie Sanders talks about.
Right.
Taxing people at the higher end of the income spectrum more, even though they pay for most of the things in general all across. That is all BS, though. She's not moving left. She's jumping and flying left. 4% additional charge on corporations. We're trying to drop the corporate tax rate. Everyone else in the world thinks first of all, we are already the highest. Everyone else thinks that by lowering the corporate income tax rates, we'll create jobs. We'll bring the manufacturing jobs that we talked about in the A block back to America. Raising that will just drive jobs away. This is an insane idea. Yeah. I wonder how all her Wall Street buddies think with that, too. Remember, she gets a lot of money.
I think they'll hold their nose and vote for her anyway.
Absolutely. Look,
can I go to the next one? Kimberly, I want to ask you about this. She's also had some troubling words about police in America at a diversity forum that was yesterday.
We have all kinds of threats in our country, and I wouldn't discount any of them. I think that when you have police violence that terrorizes communities, that doesn't show the respect that you're supposed to have from protecting people in your authority, that can feel also terrorizing.
All right, so she's watering down the verb of terrorizing by suggesting that it's police that are doing the terrorizing.
I mean, it's awful. It's not that she's watering it down. I think she means what she says. It's horrific. Anybody who's proud and wearing the uniform, the men and women serving in blue every day, protecting communities across this country should be horrified. What is wrong with you, Hillary Clinton, that you would even suggest this and say that law enforcement is terrorizing communities? Like, she's putting them on the level of ISIS. This is so
Police
far
violence.
out of place.
Police
She's acting like there's a conspiracy, a concerted
Like,
effort
yeah,
by
there's
law enforcement in this country to go into communities to pick, choose, target, terrorize.
The worst part
that
about
couldn't
it
be
is
further from the truth.
there was no data. It's
Right.
like, if you're going to talk about this, at least bring up the data. Say, okay, this is what's happening in communities. By the way, communities that minority communities that welcome the police presence there, like New York City, which is policed by minorities. But you have to talk about how many people are shot versus the greater number of people have shot, how many blacks are involved in crime versus that. The question that this brings a left wing or two is the one they can't handle. If they enforce gun laws, that means there will be more blacks in jail. And they don't want to put more blacks in jail. So the solution is you got to...
Wait, there are more whites who own guns. And let me just say...
No, wait, let me finish. The answer, the overwhelming majority of gun violence is turf warfare over gangs. If you want to solve that, you're going to have to legalize drugs, and no one will do that.
Well, that's a different issue. But let me
that's
just
the
say,
issue.
No,
what the
it's
issue
the same
is,
issue,
if
Juan.
you are black in America and you feel like a suspect when the cops show up as opposed to a citizen,
Right.
That's a problem.
That is, but that's not what they're talking
Yes,
about.
it is what
No,
they're
she's
talking
talking about
about.
police officers terrorizing communities that they
is,
protect.
Basically, she was pandering to that group of people. she
No,
was
I
talking
think
to.
You know what? That
Speaking from
shows you
the
how
heart.
desperate she is.
She's
And the
speaking from the heart.
insiders in that campaign say that she's definitely afraid of a repeat of the 2008 primaries where she had to take a knee to Barack Obama. But looks like it's on the horizon again.
All right, that's a great block. Next.